Get in, loser. We're going to the internet.
Good evening, everybody. I am DadBod. Tonight, I wanted to start off with an apology. I meant to make this video a lot longer ago than I actually did. Just things got in the way, and I'll explain a little bit later. Recently, I got my handlebar assembly for my Dance Dance Revolution pads by maty-t, aka Polish pads. You guys are familiar with these guys. If not, I've got a couple other videos linked in the description below when I picked them up, got them, my initial reactions, playtests, all that stuff is down below. So what this video is pretty much going to be about is initial reactions, a little bit of play testing, watching me fail a little bit, and just like some overall assembly do's and don'ts. If you got the first wave of these, the instructions were not that good. There were things that were left out that I eventually had to go back and find to fix. So I hope that by watching this video, you won't run into the same mistakes that I did. There were a couple of things that also I just skipped over that I shouldn't have skipped over. So I'm hoping, like I said, I hope all of this just kind of clears that up and makes this easier. It's not terribly difficult to put together once you know how to put it together and what you're supposed to be doing and the why behind the assembly. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. You'll also see me chiming in occasionally throughout the assembly video. All right, let's go. So, got plenty of packaging material. Oh, this is awesome. Check it out. So the actual handlebar system, feel good about this. I got a little bit of input in the beginning as to what colors should be available. And they got the original arcade red. That is awesome. Very cool. Phillips head screwdriver included. Very nice. Oh, it's reversible. Look at that. If I need that flathead. This guy's thinking of everything. This is, and comes with all the tools. That's great. Lots of hardware. Let's get some of this packaging out of the way. Obviously a nice step-by-step instruction manual. Very cool. We'll have that over here. Awesome. Alright, cool. Let's clean it up and get to work. Alright, so in our box, we got a lot of pieces. So we can take a look at them all. We're going to start with our instructions here, and I will be posting this up on the screen for you. So it looks like part 1. We should probably get this unpackaged. Alright. Oh dang, these are awesome. I don't know if you guys can, let me get this over there. These are like the little metal plates that go on the side. That's really cool. I like that. Good touch. Good touch. All right, let's check it out. So, first thing we're going to need is the base. I'm like super interested in how this is gonna all go together. All right, so from here, that looks like it goes on the top. This is supposed to go. That would make more sense, I guess, huh? All right. So it looks like it's going to be this flat piece up. Move the garbage out of here. All right, M6 screws. Like they go into the corners. And we've got our little bag of tools, which is great that they have everything included there. All right, you will see me do it in the video, but let's just look over these steps step by step. So we have the small M4 screws, which are the smallest of the screws, the long M4 screws, the M6, which is shorter but fat, and then the 55mm screw with the nut. The rubber protectors go on the bottom to help it from sliding, which is very important to have as well. So the frame, as you'll see in the video here, is a little awkward getting the screw inside the frame, but once you get it, it's no big deal. And the frame does feel really like loose while it's being assembled, but don't worry, once everything is in place, it holds up really nice. So make sure step one, we get those screws in, and there's two of the side plates that hold the back assembly where the handlebar fixes in and the front of the frame together. Those are going to be step one and step two. Taking the frame here, threading it underneath, and then locking it into the little hole on the side here. This one. Getting that through is a little bit awkward, but it's not so bad. Alright, let's make sure we're all tight on both sides. Yep, good there. And we're all good there. Alright, frame is built. So you will see right on this side here. Oops, let me get up a little bit. This is where this is going to go in. Oops. All right, cool. Let's keep moving. All right, so for the handlebar assembly, you're going to notice that there are two different types of pieces. You just want to match them up on the right side. And then we've got our little green, part number is G4, the handlebar holders. We're going to need two sets of these, so 4 total parts for each handlebar assembly. And looks like the 55mm screw. It's going to be the, and then, yeah, the 55mm, so we're going to need the longer screw with the nut at the end. So we're going to need a couple of those. All right, so for the handlebar assembly, you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to have, these pieces here. We've got these look like little handlebar holders. You're gonna have 4 of those, 4 of these guys, and then 4 nuts to go with it. It's pretty self-explanatory here on this end. So we will try to do this with one hand. Come on now. I can do it. Damn it. Might need 2 hands. We can get the tops of those started though, so those don't fall out. Oh no. All right, switching hands. See if we can. Don't move. Here we go. All right, well, you get the picture. I'm going to tighten this. All right, everything is in super tight. Feels good, doesn't rattle around a bunch. Let's get the other one built, and we will move on with the next step. All right, so a couple things to keep in mind here at this point. When you have that handlebar assembly finished, it's nice and tight. When you are putting the handlebar in, you're going to have to loosen it just a little bit to get the handlebars in there and then retighten them. Also note that there's 2 of those little green, I guess, grip points for the handlebar to go in. Now this thing is adjustable in height a little bit. When I have it at the very bottom, both of those green handlebar grips are obviously holding on to it, and it is the most stable. However, I'm about 6 foot 2 inches, and when I stand up and lean back, I am literally sitting on it. And I can actually, what's really neat is I can put my entire body weight on top of it. I'm a little over 250 pounds, and it holds up beautifully. Just do keep in mind, depending on how tall you are, you might have to raise the bar up a little bit like I did. But if you raise it too high, it gets away from the bottom of the green handlebar clamp. So just keep that in mind for your assembly, and let's move on. All right, now with the handlebar assemblies complete, looks like we will be installing it into the actual frame. That is going to be step number 4. All right, for step number 4 and 5, and this is really important, and it doesn't say this in the instructions here. There is this like the black plastic piece that goes over the rear of the assembly, kind of where the handlebar is. Not mentioned at all in these instructions, but you got to take it out, or else you're going to have a hard time, or you might be confused. I guess technically you could do it from the bottom, but it's just like, I don't know, in my opinion, it was really awkward doing it that way. So make sure you do that, and then just lining up the 2 handlebar assemblies in the right spot, super easy to do. And then there is step 5, a small like metal piece that holds those 2 together, kind of helps reinforce the frame holding and the handlebar assembly itself. So it looks like this probably should have been removed. Oh, let's switch that over so we can get this piece off here. All right. So this piece looks like it comes right off. All right, so once that piece is off, we want to insert the rail assembly into the back, you'll put the back end in first, and then there's actually 2 screw holes here and here that we want to just line ourselves up with. And we look good on that end. And it looks like we're using the M6 screws. So the bigger, fatter screw. And we are going to get those guys in there. Okay. All right, part number 2. Oops, going the right way. No. All right, so the next piece we have is this little guy right here. You can see these brackets are kind of coming in. Those are going to be facing you. We're going to place them in between the, I'll move this around a little bit so you can see. We would have it right in here. Just a little bit of extra reinforcement. And this also uses the, it's like the M4 screws. I will say that's one of the harder things about this is like there's some little areas that are kind of a pain in the butt to get to. And it could just be because I've got big hands, big fingers. Doesn't help one bit getting into some of these little spots to get one of these little screws here seated in there. All right, well, we're tight and we're in. I feel good. All right, now the fun part. Let's get the mat in there. All right, for those of you who have been following the channel, you already know this is my pad. I got my name put in there. They did some custom work for me. It was really awesome. You can get it done that way too. So the instructions say if we have the protective corners, which are these guys right here, we need to remove those. Make sure you keep the screws because they are going to be needed later to fasten in to this. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so this part really screwed me up bad. You can see here on the instructions, it says keep the screws from the corners. They will be needed later if you have a mat with the ABS protective corners, which mine does. The problem with that, though, is when you take those corners off, there are some little metal strip pieces that go around the edges of the pad that are just, you know, they'll just fall off. Then they say use the screws that you've kept to screw in the corner pieces, but they give you the screws for the corner pieces. The problem then that you would have is some of your edge pieces will fall off. So what it doesn't say is once you take those screws out of the corner, you take the corner bumpers off, but then you put the screws back in to get everything back together. I originally thought because there were areas along the sides of the frame that's where the screws would go, but they just didn't go in that far. So make sure that you put the screws back if you remove those corners. It's very important. These come off very easily. So you can see here. Just make sure you keep your corners with the screws. As I drop mine, crap. Alright, let's get this disassembled. Alright, with the corners removed, we are going to pop this into place. Wrong way. Big dumb. Alright, once we have all those parts out, let's get our pad installed into the frame. Make sure you have it in the right way. All right, one more thing to keep in mind. Once you put your pad in the frame, you're going to notice that there's a pretty good amount of wiggle room in that frame. Once we get those corner pieces on, everything is fine. It holds everything in place beautifully. You will not notice any wiggling motions. So we are now in. Pad is locked in. We're going to get these guys here. And the way we're going to do this, we can see here. Just going to go right on. I took the corner screw out of the corner of my pad. To lock that in, it looks like we need 4 screws to go in here. That's going to hold everything in place. And once we get that in, we're going to be ready to play. Well, we got to hit the bar. Now we're going to be ready to play. Right, that part's done. Let's get to the back side and keep it moving. Now you notice there's a, I don't know, I mean, it's not going to be a problem. I just see like there's like a bit of a gap, you know, in between one side or the other. But, I mean, once these are on, that's not going to be a big deal at all. So, just kind of a basic observation. I guess if it was just right, you wouldn't be able to fit the pad in here anyways. All right, now that we have everything, for the most part, assembled, we got to get this little protective cover on, lock it down. Now, one thing that you're going to notice once we put this thing on, we now have to get our handlebar. And this thing is actually really, really sturdy. I was balancing like on it, sitting on it. I'm about 250 pounds. So, as far as weight so far, it looks like it's supporting, but when we actually do the playthrough and test, I'm going to put all my weight, lean back on it, try to do something crazy. Now, one thing that you will notice when you try to put this in is that it's not going in. So, we got to loosen the bolts up a little bit, and it will be able to go right in. Right, looking good. Let's get it all locked in. All right. I guess we just screw it in everywhere. All right, so I've got a couple of clips of some gameplay here. I normally don't use the bar, so this was pretty interesting, just like getting back into it, because I've gone without playing with a bar for such a long time. I had originally gotten some pads from DDR game a real long time ago that came with the bar, and the bars are just like really bad. They broke like a couple months in. So I just got used to, for the last 15 years, not using a bar whatsoever. So I got a couple clips of some songs that I did, and then I clipped them shortly after I died because I don't need a bar for anything typically like under a 10 or an 11. So I tried to pick some songs that were a little bit faster, or something that I could really lean on the bar a bit more. So we'll start with Max 300 because I grew up with a PlayStation 2 and DDR Max, and that was the song that I could never ever beat. And to this day, still don't have the stamina for it because my legs just don't move that fast throughout the entire thing. I did get the first stream though, which was kind of cool. But we're gonna show a little bit of that. It's about 2 minutes or so of gameplay footage, and then we will wrap it up with some final thoughts and just some things to think about when you are getting this and using this yourself. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. A couple last things before we let you go. You know, if you noticed in the very last segment of that gameplay video, probably one of my biggest concerns about this is there's no grip tape on these handlebars, and my hands got a little bit sweaty. You could see in that last part me sliding around a little bit. So if you do have these, or you do intend on getting them, strongly recommend some kind of grip tape so that your hands don't slide off and you fall and get hurt. That would not be good. As far as like these handlebars go, I mean, these pads are affordable. They work really well. Their sensitivity is great. The ability to add a handlebar is really good. As far as price, I mean, not too bad to be able to add that on there. Or if you don't want it, you don't have to use it. Me personally, you know, it was kind of weird getting back into this because I haven't used a handlebar in years. Like, we're talking probably 13 years. That sounds about right. You know, the first DDR pads that we bought were from DDR Game. We spent a lot of money on them, and the handlebars actually broke really early. It was like a couple months in, and they broke. They were like really, really, really cheap and thin. I did not dare put my full body weight on them at all like I have with these. So far, they feel a lot better than the ones that DDR Game had. Once again, that was 13 years ago. But just looking at DDR Game's inventory, it looks pretty much the same. The other thing, and I hope this video helped out, was the instructions that came with this are not good. There were just like some steps and some details that were just missed. Like totally missed. And I know that it's been updated and you've seen it posted throughout the video. I've left a link to that in the description below as well. So you can quickly get to that if you don't have it. It's just a PDF copy. And yeah, I hope that this video has helped you in some way, or at least helped inform your decision on picking up one of these pads. Like I said, I love the pad. I bought 2 of them. They are great for doubles. I don't slide around too often. It really depends on the flooring that you're using. But for the most part, they've been great to me so far. Very accurate, among the most accurate that I've ever played on. So I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions about any of this, you can hit me up in the comment section. I typically reply in about an hour. Everything gets forwarded to my phone, and we always have our phones on us at all times. Right up there is the link for my Discord, or my Discord name personally. If you want to send me a private message on Discord, I can respond to whatever questions that you might have. Also, the guys who own the company are really quick at responding. Just hit them up on Facebook. But certainly, I'm more than willing to answer any questions that y'all might have. I'm sure I'm going to post this up in the Reddit at some point in time as well. But that's pretty much it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about all of this down in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have a good night.